Good morning, everyone. Prior to beginning the meeting, I'd like to do a few housekeeping items here with you. I would like to remind you that per the order of the Division of Administration, which oversees state building requirements, masks are required in this meeting room, and we ask for your cooperation. Anyone wishing to claim a medical exemption and refrain from wearing a mask may view the meeting via live stream in the IR room, which has been set up for appropriate social distancing. If you are watching the meeting in that room and have submitted a comment card, when you hear your name called, you may proceed to this main meeting room. Staff will also attempt to notify you when it is time to provide your comments. If you wish to make a comment or submit a comment card, we ask that you completely fill out a comment card, give the completed card to BESE staff located in the front of the room. We will call individuals who have filled out cards to make public comments at the appropriate time. Names from all comment cards will be included in the official meeting record. Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Dr. Bofi? Dr. Bofi is not in attendance. Mr. Castillo?
Here.
Dr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Ellis?
Here.
Mr. Garvey?
Here.
Ms. Holloway?
Here.
Mr. Mellering?
Here.
Mr. Morris?
Here.
Ms. Orange-Jones?
Here.
Mr. Rock?
Here.
Ms. Voce?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Today, please stand. Our prayer today will be led by Paula Calendar, Dr. Sparrows, and pledged by Stephen Babrock, Elshulatsko.
You bow your head. Most gracious Heavenly Father, God, we thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Lord, for the safety of travel. And we thank you, Lord, for the outlook that you've given each and every one of us, Lord, as we look to inspire or to just drive education in this state. God, Father, I pray that your hand would be upon each and every one of us as we enter, whether it be an office building, whether it be a classroom, Lord, whatever we do, that we just give you honor and glory. And we know, Lord, that the work that you have given us, it is for the honor and glory of your kingdom alone. And we thank you, God, for the people that are listening to us via the internet, Lord, and those that are in this room. May your hand just be upon us. We thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you've given us. For your holy name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item.
Next item is approval of the agenda.
Your motion. Mr. Garvey first, Ms. Boche seconded. Any opposition? No opposition, motion carried. Next item, please.
Next item, consideration of the oath of office for the 2022 officers of BESE, administered by Commissioner Jay Darden.
Good morning, everyone.
Alrighty.
I'm here in my capacity not as a commissioner, but as a notary public to swear in the new officers. So if the new officers would please stand and repeat after me. Can you?
Yeah, why don't you go on the floor so we get pictures? Thank you. Good morning. So we have Mr. Garvey as president, Ms. Carol Ms. Jones as vice president, and Ms. Sandy College secretary. Okay.
We got it.
All right, please raise your hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jim Darby,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of this state.
that I will support the Constitution of the
and
United
United
States.
States. And I will
Constitution and laws of this state.
Constitution
and laws of this state.
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
And I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and perform all the duties incumbent upon me
perform all the duties incumbent upon me
as a BESE officer
as a BESE officer,
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner, I just want to acknowledge you while you're here for all the efforts that we've been working through in the last few weeks around early childhood education and your passion and commitment to helping us support that. Yesterday, our board took action to help stabilize that industry and ensure that our youngest children have staff in front of them every single day. And I just want to extend a thank you from our office to yours for your support for them.
Thank you, and I think you'll be very pleased when the budget is presented next week. Thank you.
Okay, we have our next agenda item.
Next item is consideration of the recognition of the Presidential Awards for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. The winners for 2019 and finalists for 2020 and 2021.
Do we need a motion on that?
No, sir.
Just go into recognition,
Yes,
okay? I would like to recognize the recipients of the 2019 presidential awardees and the 2020 and 2021 state finalists for excellence in mathematics and science teaching. Here to introduce to you the honorees is Miss Jean May Brett.
Good morning. Actually, I'll take a moment to say it's delightful to be back in this building and in this room again after having worked here for 15 years. I am the co-coordinator for the Louisiana Presidential Award Program. The teachers we present today were earlier honored at a luncheon at the Governor's Mansion. Jan Graff, my co-state coordinator, and I express our appreciation to Ms. Holloway and Dr. Timo for attending and joining us during those mansion events along with First Lady Donna Edwards. Today we recognize the recipients of the 2019 Presidential Award and the 2020 and 21 state finalists for excellence in mathematics and science teaching. With COVID, several of these things have been backlogged, and we appreciate your recognition of the program. Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching is the highest and most prestigious national honor that a K-12 math or science teacher can receive. The recognition includes a $10,000 grant from the National Science Foundation, a trip to Washington, D.C., which includes a recognition ceremony held by the President of the United States at the White House. These teachers are recognized not only for their abilities as classroom educators, but for serving as role models for other teachers. In short, they are the best of the best. We would ask the awardees to come forward as their name is called. Due to the pandemic, the 2019 presidential awardees were recognized virtually. The 2019 Louisiana Presidential Awardee for Mathematics is Margaret Maggie Acree from Sterlington High School. Mr. Jason Thompson is the principal at Sterlington, and Mr. Don Corker is her superintendent. Ms. Ashley Ellis is her BESE representative. Maggie is unable to be here today. The 2019 Louisiana Presidential Awardee for Science is Paula Callender. Paula is from the Natchez Central High School. Mr. Michael Coleman is her principal. Dr. Grant Eloy is her superintendent. Mr. Michael Malern is her BESE representative. The three state finalists for 2020 Presidential Award in Mathematics: Stephanie Gullidge, a 28-year teaching veteran, taught 6th grade at R.K. Smith Middle School in St. Charles at the time of her nomination. She is now an instructional facilitator for the district. Her principal was Harold Blood. Dr. Ken Oatling is her superintendent. Ms. Kira Orange-Jones is her BESE representative. Anna Redding is at George Welch Elementary School in Washita Parish, where she taught 6 of her 12 years in the classroom before becoming an assistant principal. Ms. Sharon Sanders was the principal, and Dr. Don Corker is her superintendent. Ms. Ashley Ellis is her BESE representative. Anna is not able to be here today. She's teaching 3rd grade math, 4th grade reading, and running Dibbles tests because COVID has decimated her faculty. Carly Tamar was teaching 6th grade at Copper Mill Elementary School in the Zachary Community School District at the time of her selection. She is now employed by the New Teacher Project. Her principal at the time was Ms. Angela Cussard. Mr. Ronnie Morris is the BESE representative for the Zachary Community Schools. Carly sends her regrets. The 2020 State Science Committee chose 2 finalists to be considered by the National Selection Committee. James Evans teaches 6th grade at Sterlington Middle School in Washita Parish. He's been teaching for 10 years. Mrs. Marty Baumgart is her principal. His superintendent is Don Corker. Ms. Ashley Ellis is the BESE representative. James notified me this morning he's unable to come. He has COVID. Heather Warner teaches 6th grade at Caroline Dorman Junior High in Rapides Parish, where she has worked for 7 of her 17 years as a teacher. Mrs. Jennifer Bordelon is her principal. Mr. Jeff Powell is her superintendent. Ms. Ashley Ellis is her BESE representative. Heather is not able to attend this morning. There are 3 state finalists for the 2021 Presidential Award in Mathematics. Lainey Hodge, teaching Algebra 3, has 12 years of teaching experience in Washita High School in Washita Parish. Mr. Larry Long is her principal, and Dr. Don Corker is her superintendent. Her BESE representative is Ms. Ashley Ellis. I would point out also that Lainey is a teacher leader for this department. Dawn Jacoby teaches advanced placement calculus at Vestrian High School in St. Charles Parish, where she has been on the faculty for 26 years. Her principal is Mr. Jason Adair. Dr. Kenneth Odeline is the St. Charles Parish Superintendent. Ms. Sandy Holloway is the BESE member for her region. Unfortunately, Dawn is unable to attend. Many of you know her school finally reopened yesterday. Dr. Thomas Wright, a teacher of 12 years of experience, teaches 8th grade Algebra 1 at the Lakeview campus of the Edward Hines Charter Schools. Ms. Ann Kramer was the nominating principal, and Ms. Michelle Douglas is the CEO for Hines Charter. Ms. Kira Orange-Jones is the BESE representative. There are 3 state finalists for the 2021 Presidential Award in Science. Stephen Babcock teaches environmental science at the LSU Laboratory School in Baton Rouge. Mr. Babcock has 25 years of experience, 16 of those at the LSU Lab School. Mr. Frank Rossiano is his secondary principal. Kevin George is the director. Mr. Ronnie Morris is the BESE representative for Mr. Babcock, who is a teacher leader advisor. Amanda Dolph has been teaching 9 years and is at Caddo Magnet High School, where she teaches chemistry. Mr. Michael Ifritz is the school principal, and Dr. T. Lamar Gorey is the district superintendent. Mr. Michael Mellering is her BESE member. Tyler Dufresne is a physics teacher with 6 years of experience at Honville High School in St. Charles Parish. Mr. Brian Lamar is the school principal. Dr. Kenneth Odeline is the superintendent. Ms. Sandy Holloway is the BESE representative for St. Charles Parish Schools. I would also share with you that they have recently been the awardee of the Shell Grand Prize for the Regional Lab Challenge at Honville High School. Our congratulations to all presidential awardees and state finalists. We look forward to learning who will be designated as the 2020 and 21 Louisiana awardees, as well as receiving information on the 2022 state finalists later this spring. We thank you for your ongoing service to our students and for representing our state in such a positive manner. As an additional note, this year is a K-6 cycle, which means the state finalists that are being selected will come from K-6 math and science. Those names will be known in March of this year. Part of the reason for the delay in 20 and 21 is not just COVID, but the change of president administrations. There's always a problem with the handoff as the OST office changes its leadership program. As they're taking pictures, I'd also let BESE know we will be awarding $89,000 in quality math and science grants only to public school teachers who are pre-K4 district programs through 12th grade. That award application will start January 24th and close March 10th. So there is $89,000 of state taxpayer money ready for public school teachers to apply for this spring.
Where might we find information about that online to share?
I can give that to you, Dr. Brophy.
Okay,
We have a representative on the selection committee.
Excuse that. I'm sorry. Ms. Jean, if you don't mind. It would have been nice to also to have the BESE reps with their winners. Would that be okay?
Ms. Ashley?
Yes.
Whichever, yes.
Ms. Jean, if you don't mind, I do want to note this, that St. Charles Parish is not part of my district. So please note that. I want to make sure recognition is given to Ms. Kara Orange Jones.
My apologies.
No, it's all good. Thank you.
Did you use the tracker thing that we sent, or did you for that? Because it's, okay.
We'll have to check.
Yeah, all right.
and then can you tell us more about the nomination process while they're taking their pictures with the BESE members?
For presidential?
Yes.
Certainly. Any person may nominate a teacher may self-nominate. Many of our nominations actually come from district content people, although we have a real push for our past awardees to nominate. It's a national program. Nominations are done online through the National Science Foundation. We run a campaign through, we appreciate the department is always carrying a notice about the program. It is posted on several websites and all. We can make sure we give you a more timely message directly to BESE when it opens in the fall. It should be opening August 1st for secondary teachers. It has been expanded to include the STEM. So if a teacher is in engineering, they can apply in science. If a teacher is doing technology coding, they can apply in mathematics. So just like the quality science and math awards have been expanded to include CTE and all of the pathway science and math courses, so has presidential been expanded since it began in 1983.
So that applications for the grant money has been expanded to include, you said CTE, and I'm going straight to that. Now I'm at a school that does CTE. So the grant application also encompasses CTE. Is that what I heard you say?
The quality science and math does include CTE courses, yes.
Okay.
This is the first year.
Okay.
What has previously happened is when the quality science and math was established in 1992, there was no 3D printer that any teacher was thinking about.
Right.
There were no courses that we have now in environmental, et cetera. It was set up strictly to be public school teachers' math and science courses. 1992, when it was set up, we didn't have standards either. At that time, standards were whatever textbook you were using, those were your standards.
Yes.
So now, we have been working diligently with our BESE representative on the board, with our representative from the Principals Association and the School Board Association. We have revised what is open to and available for the quality science and math grants.
What office is the grant program ran out of?
The grant program by the legislature was handed over to the Gordon Kane Center at LSU. So the money is a line item budget for the Gordon Kane Center. pre-K 4 teachers for third grade can request up to $1,000 for materials and supplies that are non-consumable. Your secondary teachers, really beginning with fourth grade in this case, through high school, can request up to $1,500 for non-consumable materials. This is also a change. Some of you were familiar with QSM when the amounts were $750. You can't buy what the teachers need today with that amount of money. So we have expanded to include a higher cash and more teachers.
Thank you. I benefited from the Kane Fellowship when I was at LSU working on my master's. It's always interesting to see how things circle back in life. But thank you so much for your work, and congratulations to all the teachers.
Yes.
Thank you.
I also asked the department to put this information in the superintendent's newsletter. They really are trying to get the word out for these grants. There's not enough out there.
Mr. Garvey, if I may add one note here. Just want to share that I know some of these teachers have connections with some of these teachers, and they don't just excel in the classroom, but they go the extra mile for their students, attending co and extracurricular activities that mean a lot to their kids, and they make really strong connections with their students. And so I want to just acknowledge them, not only for the work that they do in the classroom, but just personally knowing many of these recognized teachers go the extra mile beyond the classroom.
Thank you. I would agree that going above and beyond the call of duty is obvious for this group. Thank you.
Mr. Gordon.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Holloway.
Personal privilege.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not quite sure, but I'm just realizing, is it Tyler
Yes,
from Lafourche?
Yes,
All right, I need to introduce Tyler, besides being recognized as an outstanding teacher in science and math. But he is also a school board member for Lafourche Sheriff School Board. Thank you, and congratulations to you.
Appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go back to our agenda now.
Yes, sir.
We have our next item, please.
Next item is approval of the minutes from December 15th, 2021.
Need a motion to approve? Crochet, Mr. Rock? Do we have any questions from board members about the minutes? Hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next item.
Next item is report by the State Superintendent of Education.
Superintendent, please.
Yes, sir, thank you. Just a few notes today. One of the first things I want to do is, as I've done every 6 months, just introduce some of the new faces at DOE who are responsible in some way for some level of management. And so I wanted to just do that at the end of the day so that you would be able to put a name to a face or an email to a face whenever you might need to contact someone. So I'll do that now. The first individual I'd like to just introduce that's been staffed in the last 6 months is our new HR director who's working with Dr. Love. Dr. Loveway. Our new HR director is Ms. Carrie Norton. So Carrie, if you could please stand. Just want to recognize you. Also, a policy director working with accountability. Has been with the department for some time and will be working with Mr. Lambert is Amelia Urban. Amelia, I believe you're here. A couple of new employees working either with our portfolio of schools or student well-being. The first is Deputy Assistant Superintendent for Student Well-being, Dr. Byron Hurst. And then working, you saw her yesterday working behind Max for 6 hours, is Ms. Tamara Johnson, who's the director in the Choice office. Working in the BESE legislative policy office as a director is Ms. Ashley Townsend. Actually, am I accurate that the student who read the beta poem or speech last month is one of your former students? And then in academic content area, Deputy Assistant Superintendent Sharon Case. So now you have faces for emails and names, and they're more than willing to help and support you with your needs. A couple of comments. Just want to thank the board for their work yesterday in helping stabilize the early child care industry. I know that there are trade-offs anytime you have to do a rate increase, but as you would have heard from the many people who are going to testify, it is a challenge finding and retaining staff, so that work should help with that. Want to also point out, we saw some press coverage of our literacy efforts yesterday, and I feel like it missed the most important point. And the most important point for us is that for the first time since 2017, the fall reading report scores increased year over year. And so we're pleased with that. I think it's a credit to the work taking place in our schools, and I think also the report missed the fact of all of the work that we are engaging in together to actually improve those unfathomable outcomes that do exist and that we have to do better. So I just feel like it missed a couple of really key points, and I just want to take this opportunity to point those out. And I point those out not for us, but I point those out because there are teachers every day doing this work. And I just felt like it was an opportunity to help affirm their work. So I just want to take that opportunity here today. Finally, just importance around school choice. School Choice Week is upcoming, and of course we expanded our portfolio yesterday, which is important. A reminder, Jumpstart Convention, Mr. Bradford, if I'm correct, is the 25th, and we look forward to hosting 1,200 educators from around the state, and that event sold out pretty quickly. And we also have a special side set of sessions for our child welfare and attendance officers that we have. So we have, I believe, 100 carved out seats for child welfare and attendance officers, so we're excited about that. We'll also be launching dual enrollment and a fast forward website coming up in coordination with the Board of Regents, which will be kind of like a one-stop shop for school counselors to get more information around some of the endeavors that we're working through. So Mr. Garvey, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any BESE members who would like to comment on that report? Ms. Holloway?
No, I don't have a comment. Thank you, Superintendent. What I'd like to make a motion here on directing the department to look into the development of guidelines or necessary policy regarding remote learning as it relates to instructional minutes to do with study on this.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Superintendent, do you have any questions or comments on that?
I think what you're asking, and provide clarity if this is inaccurate, but basically for students, if they go remote, ensuring that they're meeting attendance and or instructional minute requirements, and you want to bring forward some guidelines on that?
Ms. Bocek?
Are we talking about like quarantine situations and short-term remote learning? Or are we talking more of a virtual learning? Could you explain a little bit about what the goal is?
Ms. Holloway?
I'm sorry.
Oh, would you like me to address it? I think this is a new situation that we have not really dealt with much in the past, and I think it would be good for the superintendent to take some time and see if there's anything that we should do, any advice, any rules, any regulations that we should issue. Maybe there are none, but seeing as how it's a fairly big issue happening in a lot of our schools, and it's new, I think the thought is, why don't we take a look at it and see if there's anything that we should do with it.
Okay, but is it when a school closes for remote, or are we talking about individual students?
I think it could include both of those situations, since they both happen, I would say, fairly dramatically across the state. But only to the extent that the superintendent sees an issue there and brings it to us.
So
Ms. Davis.
would a report like this capture whether or not district policy, say during individual quarantines, requires that district to provide remote instruction, or are they just sending kids home for those 5 days? Because I know there are districts out there that are not providing any remote instructions when children are quarantined for 5 or 10 days. So this
I
report
think that's
captures
part of
some
the
of
big
that?
issue is, we do have some school systems doing one thing way on one side and some doing something way on the other side, asymmetric, both ways, face-to-face over online facilities. A lot of people are doing a lot of different things, and there are probably some things that are better at giving information to children and better for encouraging learning than others. And I think it would be good for us to look at which ones do the better job and try and encourage our schools to do the ones that do the better job.
Thank you.
Ms. Bocek?
Well, just a comment, when students are out for a short period of time, and it could be due to COVID, it could be due to being in the hospital, it could be due, well, we used to probably go homebound for a day or two or a week. There are many different ways in which students then receive instruction or make up work or whatever. So it's, when we get information from the school districts, it's going to be very important to determine what our goals are, because for years, even prior to what we're experiencing now with the pandemic, we've always had students who were out for short periods of time. We may have excused students to go, and I hate to say, on travel ball team trips or retreats associated with their, religious organizations or whatever. And in those short-term absences, you do many, many different things to allow students to continue work or instruction. So if we're looking for some kind of guidelines or whatever having to do with remote learning, it really, in my opinion, would have to be for a certain period of time that goes beyond what we would consider normal illness. Kids could be out for a week with the flu, or they could have any kind of common ailment that occurs. And individual schools and teachers help those particular students in many, many different ways, depending upon the grade level, the ability of the student, the cooperation and such. So I think we've got to be very careful as we try to solicit information, because there's going to be, in many cases, an individualized plan. Now, if we're talking about an entire school system shutting down, or school shutting down, or whatever, that may be a different situation that we have to look into. But when we're talking individual students for many, many, many different reasons who would miss consecutive days, that's going to be much more problematic, and I'm not sure if we even going to get into how do you address an individual student who out for 2, 3, 4, 5 days for goodness knows what business.
I would tend to agree. I think that, as you mentioned, I think the bigger motivation on this is whole school systems shutting down, which is the new situation that we have that we haven't had before. So if the superintendent, you could capture those thoughts and
Right, we can look into that.
let that guide your report. Please do.
Would you like that report in March, Ms. Holloway? I think that indicated.
Yes.
Mr. Superintendent, do you have a thought on when would be appropriate?
Well, I mean, I would assume probably any shift would probably be effective for the next school year. So, I mean, March or the meeting to follow. Yeah.
April, March or April.
I don't know when the next meeting is, Shannon.
March or April.
Let's go with April.
That'll work.
Gotcha.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments about that motion? Do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. We move on to the next item now. Our superintendent's report is done. So next item, please.
Next item is reports from members of BESE regarding their statutory or legislative task force appointments. Updates.
Any updates?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Shannon.
Thank you. I have a brief update about the accountability work group. I just want to start by thanking my fellow colleagues on this board who chosen to join this work group. As you'll recall, as a board, we have been charged to help our board put together a formula alongside, of course, our department related to any changes in our accountability formula. I want to thank Mr. Mellorin, Dr. Davis, Ms. Holloway, and Mr. Morris, who also serve on that work group. For the last 2 months, we have been focused on, hold on, I've got actually some notes I want to share. Bear with me. Okay, for the last 2 months, we've been focused on building our background knowledge in the current formula and have focused on 2 key areas. How do we measure and reward growth accurately? And how do we ensure that all aspects of our formula are equally rigorous, focused on the design of the high school and K formula differences? We continue to target, as this board has directed us to, summer of 2022 proposal with appropriate engagement occurring over the next couple of months. I'd just love to open it up and see if there's any questions from the board. And I just want to particularly thank, of course, Dr. Bromley for your partnership in this, and then specifically your leadership, Mr. Thomas Lambert, who's done a tremendous job facilitating and supporting this group as we work to build our own capacity as a work group. So thank you and your team.
Any questions or comments?
We will be posting those recorded meetings on our BESE website. We had a conversation about it this morning, Thomas and I, and we decided as opposed to posting it to the department's website, we will be posting it on our website. So he's going to be forwarding that to me. We recorded the last 2 meetings, and we will get that up and running as soon as possible, hopefully by next week.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The last meeting. We've only had one since.
Oh, we only have one. We did record the, okay, so, sorry, just one we have recorded.
Do we have any other BESE members that would like to share with us? Okay, hearing none. Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Morris.
The Law STEM Advisory Council met at Shreveport and heard reports from 2 of the 9 regional STEM directors. The next quarterly council meeting will be a Zoom call tomorrow, but the 2022 annual Law STEM Summit will be held on February 8th at the Canes River Center here in Baton Rouge. The keynote speaker is Dr. Stephen J. Perlman. Dr. Perlman will speak to solving for academia's systemic critical thinking crisis. What's the state of STEM education and critical thinking? Again, that's February 8th at the River Center. The other share I had was from the special school district. I represent BESE on that newly formed board. Act 468 of the 2021 legislative session established the SSD, which consists of the special school programs, the LSD, and the LSBI. The act removed oversight from the Louisiana State Department of Education and established an independent state agency. The board of directors met for the first time on November 8th. The special school district, the board of directors for the SSD is responsible for the governance of the district, which includes the selection of the superintendent, adopting rules, regulations, and policies, and prescribing textbooks and materials for students. The SSD offers educational services to students with low-income incidence disabilities from across the state. The district is comprised of 2 residential schools, Louisiana School for the Deaf and Louisiana School for the Visually Impaired, located here in Baton Rouge. Special school programs located in correctional, mental, and behavioral health facilities across the state, where special education services are offered to qualified students. At the first board meeting, members were introduced, officers were selected, and the meeting schedule was confirmed for 2022. The board meets again on February 21st.
Mr. Morris, do we have any questions on that report? Seeing none, Ms. Bocek.
And in terms of the dual enrollment task force, as the superintendent mentioned, there's going to be the rollout of the portal for the first part for information for parents and students, and that's going to be in conjunction next week with the same time as the Jumpstart Convention. And we're trying to set up an interview, press conference about that particular event. And I think the dual enrollment task force has been really tremendous work, and we've had discussions jointly with Board of Regents and BESE at the meetings concerning its progress. So I won't repeat that, but we are continuing to work and making great progress in the offerings to our students, especially with the events forward.
Thank you, Ms. Bocek. Any other reports? Okay, seeing none, let's move to the next item, please.
Next item is board committee reports. Item 8.1, academic goals and instructional improvement committee, Mr. Morris.
On behalf of the Academic Goals and Instructional Improvement Committee, I move to approve motions 1 through 13, noting that motions 5 and 10 through 13 are notices of intent, and motion 6 is an emergency rule.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second? Ms. Ellis? Do we have any questions or comments? Hearing none, do we have any cards? Hearing none. Do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next item.
Next item, administration and finance committee, Ms. Bocek.
I'm
I'm
reading
going to let
that.
Mr. Castillo make the motion this morning.
Yes,
Oh,
thank you, good morning, everyone.
Yes,
On
sir.
behalf of the Administration and Finance Committee, I move to approve motions 1 through 22.
Do we have a second to the motion? Mr. Miller, second. Do we have any questions or comments, please?
I have a recusal,
Ms. Murphy?
motion 11 and motion 14.
I also have a recusal, motion 11. I have a recusal, motion 12 and 14.
Okay, Ms. Davis? Who was before Ms. Davis? Sorry, that was
Ms. Ellis.
Ms. Ellis, okay.
And I'd like
Yes.
to recuse from motions 11 and 17.
That was Ms. Bocek and Ms. Jones?
I'd like to recuse for motion 9.
Okay, have we captured all of those? As you said, we did? Okay. With that in mind, do we have any other questions or comments? Seeing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, educator effectiveness committee, Dr. Davis.
On behalf of the Educator Effectiveness Committee, I move to approve motions 1 through 12, noting that motions 3 and 4 are notices of intent.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion? Ms. Jones, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? This is the effective, educator effectiveness? Okay,
You have opposition?
yes, I have a note. That Mr. Garvey, Mr. Miller, yesterday objected to motion 12. I'd like to capture that from Mr. Miller.
Correct.
That approves. Okay. With that in mind, do we have any other questions or comments? Seeing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, school innovation and turnaround committee, Ms. Holloway.
On behalf of the School Innovation and Turnaround Committee, I move to approve motions 1 through 17.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second to the motion. Ms. Davis? Ms. Ellis?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments? Mr. Castillo?
I have a recusal. I recuse with respect to motion 14.
Ms. Davis? Did
I'd
I see
like
your
my
hand?
opposition to motion 14 noted.
Thank you. Mr. Rob?
I oppose motion 14 and 17.
Okay, Ms. Bocek?
I'd like to record opposed to motions 14 and 17.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
I'd like to note opposition to motion 14.
Second. And I also oppose motion 17 as well.
Ms. Davis? Okay, and we captured all of those. Mr. Castillo?
Just a point of clarification. When we recuse with respect to motion 14, does that capture only with respect to the particular item? Just want to make sure.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Dr. Bocek, did you have 17?
I thought that it's motion 14, but I want to look back at the packet and just make sure. So I want to note a recusal from yesterday, but I just want to look at the packet real carefully and make sure that it's the right one.
I think it's
I think
17.
it's 17.
Oh, okay.
Note the motion numbers and item numbers.
I told you 14.
Agenda item numbers.
Okay, that's right. So I'm recusing myself from motion 17. Okay, I just had written down 14, Ms. Davis. Okay, and then I do want to, I think there was question of whether or not it should be an abstention or a recusal. And so I just want to let you all know, I don't have any contracts related to this charter school. I'm not personally benefiting from it, but because it's connected to Lafayette, there's the indirect piece. So just like I recuse myself from the grants that Lafayette gets, I'm recusing myself from the charter schools that would be close to the Lafayette area. So, but I don't have any side contracts, so putting that out there, save myself a little.
Direct financial risk.
Yes, there's not a direct financial connection. I'm just being super cautious over here.
Duly noted. Thank you, Ms.
And that, for
Rutherford.
the board's benefit, that is the difference between abstaining and recusing. Is recusing implies that there's a financial relationship with whatever it is the item is. Abstaining just means you're choosing not to vote on the item, as you know. And both count as no vote.
In our annual ethics training, teaches about that issue.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have, did our staff capture all of the comments and refusals and abstentions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have any other comments or questions? Seeing none, do we have any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
That concludes your agenda.
Okay, thank you.